Other than the fact that the RNC got pathetic viewership, um, basically they drew less viewers than the Democratic ones, so that was a good thing. Basically, on night two, the RNC went on the offense against objective reality. Define thy enemy. This is a core maxim of modern politics. Marginal voters can look at your opponent from a wide range of angles. The trick is to steer them toward the least flattering one, ideally before they've had a chance to develop a first impression. Thus, the 2012 Obama campaign hit Mitt Romney hard as an out-of-touch plutocrat early on and often. The American the American Republicans sought to define Hillary Clinton as corrupt and incompetent, which is technically what Donald Trump is, by engineering the Benghazi and Uranium One pseudo scandals well in advance of the 2016 campaign. On the second night of the Republican National Convention, the GOP finally went on the offense against the 45 campaign's chief adversary, objective reality. If you have two eyes, two ears, and zero maggot hats, then you know by now that Donald Trump has little use for the truth. The mogul's entire public identity is premised on the supremacy of spectacle over reality. Use your inherited wealth to assemble enough signifiers of financial success, and for all practical purposes, you can be a business genius, which he isn't. Serial bankruptcies be damned. Twirl a Bible, praise 2 Corinthians, and you can be a puritanical Christian. Audio recorded boast of sexually assaulting married women notwithstanding. The Republican Party, meanwhile, has made misleading the public about its governing priorities standard operating procedure for its entire modern existence. So it almost goes without saying that this year's Republican National Convention has been a festival of lies. But in 2020, with the historically mendacious fake president seeking re-election amid a fatally bungled pandemic response and mass unemployment, the GOP and the truth are no longer on speaking terms. Lies have rained down from the stage with such apparent frequency. CNN felt compelled to dispense with any pretenses of both sidisms and report that the parade of dishonesty at the RNC stood in stark contrast with last week's Democratic convention, with the former producing more misleading or false claims in a single night than the DNC produced over the course of 4 days. The RNC lies have been remarkable in their audacity as in their density. The Republican speakers claimed that Planned Parenthood's abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods so as to facilitate a covert white supremacist eugenist mission. The sitting fake president said that the Democrats had tried to steal the 2016 election and were up to the same dirty tricks this year. They didn't steal the election in 2016, your fat ass did. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz declared that Democrats want to disarm you, empty the prisons, lock you in your home, and invite MS-13 to live next door, which there's no proof to that. In a video, the RNC suggested that the fake president took the threat of the novel coronavirus seriously before congressional Democrats recognized the scale of the problem, which is not true. Trump did not recognize the threat right away. A complete inversion of heavily documented reality. Shortly after the RNC presented this fictional take on the early days of the pandemic, Larry Kudlow provided a fictional account of its present, referring to the ongoing public health crisis in the past tense. He said it was awful. Health and economic impacts of tragic hardship and heartbreak were felt everywhere. Yeah, but not what you fucking idiot. The most disorienting aspect of the RNC's mendacity night might have been its blithe indifference to keeping its own narrative. What they call logically consistent. It is one thing to broadcast hyperbole, unproven allegations of corruption and nepotism against the Biden family, but it takes cosmic chutzpah and utter contempt for your audience to have Pam Bondi level those allegations on a night when two of the fake president's adult children took prime-time speaking slots away from actual Republican officials and activists. In 2013, when Bondi was still Attorney General of Florida, her office announced that it was considering taking legal action against the Trump University amid allegations that the real estate investment school had defrauded its students. 4 days later, Donald Trump's personal charity illegally donated $25,000 to a political group aligned with Bondi's re-election campaign. Shortly thereafter, the Sunshine State's chief prosecutor decided that there was insufficient grounds to proceed with the probe of the mogul school. This was the person Trump chose to decry Joe Biden's tolerance for the mere appearance of corruption. On the issue of criminal justice, Meanwhile, the RNC crossed the border between shameless insincerity and self-contradiction. In 2016, the Trump campaign sought to dampen African American enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton by spotlighting her complicity in the 1990s tough-on-crime politics. In nominating the architect of the 1994 crime bill, Democrats gave the fake president an opening to run this play again. And this time around, Trump could accurately claim that he had signed into law a form aimed at whimsically reducing incarceration, while his rival had done a great deal to increase it. On the other hand, the upsurge in anti-racial protests following George Floyd's murder and the violence at those protest fringes looks to Trump like a golden opportunity to claim the mantle of law and order, which he isn't one of those. For months now, the fake president has been explicitly appealing to the white suburban racial paranoia and asserting that Joe Biden supports the abolition of law enforcement, which is false, and the elimination of cash bail, which is true. A party that respected the American public's capacity for reason would feel compelled to choose between these two lines of attack. The GOP, by contrast, has opted to broadcast both messages early Tuesday night. The RNC showed Trump's compassion for the incarcerated and belief in second chances by pardoning a former convict on national television, an act which itself was likely illegal. Rand Paul, meanwhile, reminded America that the Biden crime bill that locked up a generation of young black men. Remember that Biden bragged about a bill that still wreaks havoc among people of color. And yet, 24 hours before this celebration of Trump for granting convicted criminals early release, Gates had implicitly denounced Biden's opposition to incarcerating poor people who have been convicted of no crimes at all, merely for just being poor. And about an hour after Rand Paul's lamentation of Biden's draconian police expansion bill, the ugly-ass Eric Trump decried Biden's pledge to defund the police, which he does not want to do. After unleashing the torrent of bald-faced lies, blatant hypocrisies, and mutually contradictory radical gestures, the RNC dispatched Tiffany Trump to discredit every entity that could possibly hold Republicans accountable to the truth by defining thoughts that run contrary to Republican talking points as hallucinations implanted in Americans' brains by malevolent tech companies. People must recognize that our thoughts, our opinions, and even the choice of who we are by voting for May and are being manipulated and visibly coerced by the media and tech giants. If you tune into the media, you get a biased opinion, or you get one biased opinion or another, and what you share, if it does not fit into the narrative that they seek to promote, then it is either ignored or deemed a lie, regardless of the truth. This manipulation of what information we receive impedes our freedoms rather than allowing Americans the right to form our own beliefs. This misinformation system keeps people mentally enslaved to the ideas that they deem correct. This has fostered unnecessary fear and divisiveness among us. Why are so many people in media and technology and even in our own government so invested in promoting a biased and fabricated view? Ask yourselves this: why are we prevented from seeing certain information? Why is one viewpoint promoted while others are hidden? The answer is control, because division and controversy breed profit. The disavowal of the stoking of division and controversy from a surrogate at real Donald Trump at a convention that had repeatedly accused the Democratic Party of wanting to destroy this country, it's ditzy in its cynicism. Like all of the most nefarious pieces of propaganda, Tiffany Trump's diatribe has its kernels of truth. Social media does foster fear and division. The rules governing platform moderation are often arbitrary and tendentious. But gesturing at these facts to help Trump supporters ward off any potential cognitive dissonance that their standard bearer's prodigious line might produce is Orwellian. The meta message of the first 2 nights of the RNC, a message that was never spoken but implicit in virtually every speech, was this. The Republican Party believes that it cannot make a compelling argument for Donald Trump's re-election without resorting to industrial-grade dishonesty. Given the unpopularity of the party's economic agenda such as it is, and the 177,000 Americans dead from the pandemic that Trump declared totally under control in January, and which he has publicly said he would like to conceal for political gain by limiting the availability of testing, this may be a rational assessment. But it also constitutes a bet against the median voter's capacity for critical thinking and thus an expression of contempt for the project of democracy itself. The Trump family sees voters the same way that they viewed Trump University's prospective students or the drunk bond investors in the locals' defunct casinos as dupes to be manipulated for personal profit. So, if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Random Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And thanks for listening.